how do we keep the planet moving towards a greener future? It doesn't happen without driven entrepreneurs and inspired social impact leaders like you. This podcast will give the tools and insight you need to join the sustainability movement and save the world. This is Thinking Green with Mohammed Abdallah.
Kevin Caldwell, how you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Good morning, Mohammed. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining the show. Welcome back, Thinking Green Nation. I know we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back and we're ready to have a great conversation this morning. Kevin Caldwell, give me a little bit of background about yourself.
I'm a retired business owner that's been in Dallas for some time. Built a new house in Farmers Branch about 5 years ago. And that's about the time that you and I met.
It is. And your primary experience, what you've gone through over the last 3 decades, it has been in the financial world. Give me a little bit of understanding of what you do.
It has. I was a business owner involved in stock and bond management for wealthy individuals. Ran that company for a little over 10 years and then sold it in 2019 to Capital One Bank.
Capital One, I'm sure most people have heard of that. Pretty big company. Well, congratulations on the sale, my friend, and on the next stage of your life. It's been so amazing to be part of that. And you have also been so integral in my development and the development of Good Faith Energy as well. So you recall the first time that we met?
We did. We actually went to a renewable energies conference, a small conference here in Dallas. Mary and I were just beginning to want to get more involved in sustainability and what does that mean and how do we do that and what's our part, what's our obligation, what are the options out there, etc. And had an opportunity to bump into you at that meeting back in the early days.
They were the early days, in fact. So I want to say that was 2015. We were both on the DFW solar tour, I believe at the Da Vinci School. And you're touring, checking out their solar system. They had a rainwater harvesting system, really cool architecture and sustainability program. But then afterwards, you and I connected, and you mentioned, I mentioned to you during the tour that, hey, I'm this, entrepreneur, and I'm trying to get this company up and going to install solar and batteries. And then you told me, hey, I'm building a home. Why don't you come by the lot and check it out and give me a quote? And I just remember how profound, for me, that first meeting was on your lot, right? Where I'm like, oh my God, like my dreams are becoming a reality. And I don't think you fully knew that like you were going to be my first customer at the time. Did you know that? Or did you just have this, thought that I had a big established company, or, what did you go into that thinking?
No, I knew we were your first customer, and just as excited and anxious as you are or were about a project like this, from my side, I was just excited and anxious about, oh my gosh, how are we going to get this done? And what does that mean? And, how do we pull it all together? And then where do we even start with planning, right?
So you ended up adding a bunch of different things into your new build. I want you to tell us a little bit of what went into that planning and design process, and what were some of the challenges that maybe you came across. But just walk us through some of the different things that you're able to do in your new home.
So the first challenge was we had never built a home before, so it was our very first home to build. It was a fairly large project for us. The house is about 3,700 square feet of air-conditioned space and about 7,000 square feet under roof. So quite a building project. We wanted to be as sustainable as possible. We wanted to try and incorporate as much green technology into our project as we could. We really didn't even know early on what all of that meant. We just believed in the concept of we want to try and do our part to make this a better world. And as a result of that, lower our carbon footprint, and how can we do that best, and how can we accomplish that? And we found that bringing in folks like you early on allowed us to be able to put all of those puzzle pieces together. So it was.
So now you have this beautiful masterpiece, you know, and you have about 30. Was it 30 solar panels, I believe? Because the home is super efficient too. I mean, talk about some of the efficiencies that you built in, you know, whether it was the HVAC, the windows. I'm just kind of curious if you can dump some of that knowledge on us.
Yeah, we can. The windows was a big piece. We knew we wanted as much light in the house as possible, but along with light comes energy inefficiency. So we went with double, triple pane windows for the vast majority of the house. We also did foam encapsulation, which was a big thing for us to keep as much of that heat on the outside of the roof as possible. We did high ceilings, so we'd be able to have the heat rise and be in the upper lofts of the ceiling. At the same time, we're keeping the area where we live a little bit more cool. In the wintertime, we wanted to be able to heat the house using radiant heat. And at the time, we didn't know exactly what that was going to mean, or how well that was going to work. But we've got roughly a mile's worth of PVC PEX tubing, or I guess it's considered to be PEX tubing, in the concrete. And in the wintertime, we pump hot water through that. And we originally estimated that was going to take care of about half of our energy need in the wintertime. And as it turns out, after 5 years of experience with the house, it produces 100% of our heat during the wintertime, even through those 0-degree days that we had this last year for some period of time. So that was a big surprise to us. And then as it relates to solar, you'll remember in the early days when we did that design, you mentioned we've got 32 panels on the 10K unit. And we thought originally, not knowing exactly how energy efficient the home was going to be, we estimated conservatively that was probably going to take care of about half, maybe a little bit more of our energy need for electricity. And as it turns out, it's taking care of more than 95% of our electric need throughout the year. And like we say, we've finally got about 5 years worth of experience with how out, so I can talk confidently that we did a good design, with your help in pulling all of that together.
Absolutely. And then tell me about the storage system. So you've gone through a couple of power outages, a couple of thunderstorms, the recent snowpocalypse. How has the storage system held up?
Very good. In fact, there's a lot of times when there'll be a short, brief outage in the neighborhood and we don't even know we've had it. Originally, I thought the system was going to take about, maybe anywhere from 15 seconds to a couple of minutes to switch over power. But now it's so fast that we don't even recognize that it's happening. So if you blink, you missed it. And we're running battery power out of the garage. Don't even realize it. So that's kind of a nice feeling, and it satisfies our need for wanting some security as it relates to not being reliant on the grid as we were before.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go back in history a little bit, and so here we are, 2015. You've foolishly agreed to work with me, and we sign a contract, which I remember I'm like drafting it up on Microsoft Doc, and I don't know what I'm doing, right? And putting in like screenshots of the system design that I've probably sketched up from like a Google satellite. I don't even know, or a drone shot. I guess I did take a drone shot, so that was good. But you sign an agreement to go ahead and move forward with me. You hand me a $1,500 check. I remember I cried. I was like, oh my God, this is real, right? It's not just because up until that point, Kevin, again, I don't know if you know this, but I was revenue-less. So you were the first revenue I'd ever generated under the company, and I started it in like March of 2014. So you came in December of 15. All right. So here I am. I'm like, I'm crying. I'm just going home. Do you remember that? Okay.
I do.
You gave me like a big hug in your conference room. You know, it was super special. And then your build didn't actually happen for like a year and a half. So that was like a slap in the face, right? It was like, oh yes. And then here I am, super excited. And then we don't actually start the project until I want to say mid 2017.
Yeah.
But
first customer, but we were not your first install.
No. So that was a learning lesson, right?
Right.
But you're learning every day, and it was just such a fantastic feeling and a boost of confidence. And it was, some people like now I would consider that a small win. At that point, it was the biggest win I had ever had, right? Ever in my life. Because yes, I had done some corporate jobs and some internships and, some hustling on the side and whatever, buying and selling whatever I could, but to actually start a legitimate like LLC, right? And then test and ideate. And, my mom wasn't my first customer because she's my mom and she loves me, thank God. But with you, it manifested itself. It was like, wow, this just became real. People believe in this. They believe in me. So that was really incredible. And then, sure enough, like we're going through the process. I come out a couple of times to do physical measurements with my brother-in-law, Osama. And we get it all kind of planned out, or so what we thought in our heads. We put in a couple of junction boxes to prep for the solar so that we didn't have to run conduit everywhere. And then sure enough, come install time, we realized that there was one piece of conduit that we were still going to have to run on the roof. You were pretty cool with it, thank God. And all the panels fit. We got the system fired up and running. And then I don't remember, did you put in the Sonin at the same time or did you put in the battery later on?
The Sonin came in, I think, about a month later.
Had some issues with the Sonin, getting it up and commissioned, fired up, but eventually we got there. And so thankfully, since then, it's been running smooth. But then you become a huge supporter and you're constantly asking me, do you need any help? And then sure enough, Mary comes into the picture. So tell me a little bit about Mary and about how she was introduced to good faith. And, for me, I'm going to give my perspective as well. But yeah, tell me about that phone call and how it all started.
It was good. At the time, Mary had just been relieved from her pharmaceutical job in Dallas, and she decided just to go ahead and retire. So she had a little bit of free time, and she was the primary impetus in the sustainability early on. I was not a sustainability guy long before she was before I was. But she was a primary impetus for that drive. And as a result of that, I said, what do you want to do if you've got some extra time? How do you want to spend your time? And she said, I don't really know. I've not spent a whole lot of time thinking about that. And I said, well, Mo, as you know, is starting this business. And I can tell when I have conversations with him, he's going in so many different directions and he could probably use a little assistance and, together and reducing his stress a little bit as he begins his new business. And she said, oh, I think that would be great. So anyway, that's where that initial phone call came from. And you were gracious enough to realize that.
Well, honestly, I'm the one that's grateful and gracious for everything that Mary did for Good Faith Energy, because, she took a very prestigious, high-paying position in the pharmaceutical world, and helped me bootstrap my business, and it was a time where I didn't have a ton of resources, and she was so passionate about sustainability and about what we were doing, that she was like pretty much the foundation of our culture of like people that I ended up, I find myself looking for, right? I find myself looking for the Mary Caldwells of the world. And she came in, she did a ton of project management work for us. But she was wearing multiple hats, doing marketing things, doing billing things, accounting. It was incredible. And we were really grateful that you made that phone call because, Mary transformed Good Faith Energy on so many levels. People here still talk about her, like Clayton and others. And just maybe throw it out there that we're looking to hire some more project coordinators, and we're no longer having to bootstrap everything. So, we love her. We miss her. She transformed our company on so many levels. And again, like I'm just super grateful that you made that phone call and she accepted my offer. And at the time, like I didn't have job descriptions. I didn't have offer letters. I didn't have, development plans. I didn't have training. I didn't have anything. Right. So it's like you just get thrown in the fire. But because you're less than 10-person organization, you're able to figure it out, and just everyone does whatever it takes to get the job done, especially when they care about the organization and the work that it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just, again, like tell her I said hi and tell her we're hiring. I'm not saying, I know she's enjoying herself. So tell us about some of Mary's sustainability habits, because I know you guys have beehives and you grow your own honey, have your own honey, and do other things around the house, rainwater harvesting. What all did she kind of bring to the table? You were like, all right, I want the power stuff, or did it all just kind of originate from her?
It all originated from her. She didn't want any chemicals used in the landscaping. She didn't want any chemicals used to the extent manage that in the building of the house. She wanted to keep low Vox down. I didn't even know what VOX was at the time. So I've learned a lot from her. Mm-hmm. And the rainwater harvesting was something she wanted to accomplish. That's a project we did not get to fully install, but the house is designed so that we can use it as an add-on at such time ready to do that. So anyway, Mary's been an integral part of my life, and obviously the life of our home here. So,
and you have a beautiful son, and now you have some grandchildren, correct?
Dude, that's right. Yeah, they live down in just outside of Houston, outside the Woodlands. We've got a 1-year-old grandchild and a 4-year-old grandchild too. So,
how's that going so far?
It's been great. In fact, we were with them down at the lake this weekend for Labor Day.
So well, as you know, I have a 3 and a 1-year-old as well. So we got to get them together, Kevin.
You know how much high energy that is in that environment, and you're running as fast as those days you were early in the business, right?
You are. And honestly, what I've come to realize is, before I had kids, I was still able to manage, running full speed, being married. But after I had the kids, I found myself wanting to spend more time with them. And I can't run full speed in both directions. Like there's just no way, right? Because you have to make a sacrifice and say, I'm either going to focus all my energy on absolutely, skyrocketing my business and working in it full time, around the clock, or I have to find a balance that can allow me to spend time with my kids. They know who you are, at least those formidable years, right? Because at some point they have their own life, and they have their own friends and their own activities, and they're probably no longer available for dad anymore, right? So at that point, sure, I can go full speed again, but maybe for just a short amount of time, and not even full speed. It would be at full speed in a different way, right? Maybe in seeking passive income sources and doing other things, right? But what I found right now is that when Friday hits and then I have a Labor Day, for example, I'm spending the whole time with my family. There's no other way around it, right? Because those kids demand your attention, and you can either make that conscious decision that I'm going to be part of this, or I'm going to be part of that. So no, it's been extremely huge blessing and learning lessons, and on the job training and so on. And so you've done this, but now you're going through the grandkid movement. So how different is it now? You just get to chill with them and feed them, give them sugar, and then sleep in your own room at night.
Actually great in a lot of ways. And as our parents always said, enjoy those days that you have, because they won't last long. You never realize exactly what that means until you're in the thick of it. And then on the tail end of that, you begin to see that, oh my goodness, this is going fast. And then for us, getting access to grandchildren, you get to relive some of those early days, when you were growing children. So we're blessed, and we're extremely grateful for everything that we've been given and provided. So
I love it. God is good. I have a question for you, Kevin. So in your business ownership days, you started this business, you sold it to Capital One. What were some of the kind of critical junctures, or maybe even some more of like the very critical things that you put into place? Maybe it was systems, processes, people. What was it that helped you in growing a business and then selling it off?
I think the key points involved there is you have to have good people, and you have to have people that you can trust implicitly and give them a goal and an objective from a mission level, and then respect what they bring to the table to be creative enough to help put that together with their own spin and their own ideas and their own value systems that they bring to the table. And although hiring very bright people that are smarter than you are, it leaves you vulnerable a lot of times, the end product is so much better than anything you could have accomplished yourself. So I think that's a key. You've got to honor and respect people, and I think that's huge. And you've got to have a value system that says, you know what, I know it's not popular, but I'm going to do the right thing. And oftentimes the right thing is not necessarily the best thing from a revenue perspective or from a cost perspective, or, the basic metrics of a business. But at the end of the day, you can feel good that you've provided people livelihoods, you've created a life for them, and you've created an opportunity for people to come together and do bigger things than any of us could do on our own.
Yeah, and to do it the right way is absolutely the key point, right? Because there are a lot of people that can create livelihoods, but do it in a way that's detrimental to themselves, society. But doing it the right way is key, because I've also seen, in the solar industry alone, the majority of companies are scamming people, selling them solar at $4 or $5 a watt, not providing the post-installation services and maintenance that they should be, not explaining the truth in lending with their loans properly, so on and so, not sizing their systems properly. I mean, the majority of companies are using softwares that don't really run a shading analysis or pitch factors, and so they're just, here's it's going to be 100%, and it's not 100%, not even close. Now you're stuck with a higher payment than you were before, and you didn't even know, right? So that's it's tough, because you see all these companies, they grow rapidly, but then it's not tough because that their downfall is imminent, right? So people just skyrocket, make all this money, all this fame or whatever, and then one lawsuit crushes them, one a really angry customer can crush a business. So you just have to treat people the way you want to be treated and do what you say you're going to do. There's just kind of, for us, I totally agree. People say 0 to $1 million all about sales, $1 to $10 million all about systems, and then $10 to $100 million all about people, right? And picking the right people that just aren't the brightest people in the room, but they are trainable, they believe in your system, they fit it, they're coachable, and they align with, like we said, the core values and the vision. Again, I think that was my pitch to Mary to come back to work. But no, I'm kidding. Kevin, I really, really appreciate your time, sir. I really miss you. I'm going to come by and see you. I'm not just saying that. I know we're 10 minutes down the road. We got to bring the kids over and have a little picnic. I want to steal one of Mary's honey bottles, if you don't mind, or rent out a local honey. But I certainly appreciate your time. One last question before we let you go. What's the future outlook for you? I mean, you've done some great things in your life, accomplished a lot, built your dream home, married your dream wife, settled, and sold your business. So, what does the future look for you from here on out?
Well, the good news for me is I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And I never want to stop learning. So I'm not exactly sure what the future holds, but every chapter for me in my life has always been a good chapter, and I look forward to the future and whatever that holds, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum, habibi. Great to see you. I know you had some days in the Middle East, so much love. Hub. Nshufak inshallah ala khair.
Congratulations on everything you've accomplished, Mohammed, and I'm glad we're still a part of that life going forward.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you guys have done for us.
You got it. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Thinking Green with Mohammed Abdallah. This episode was brought to you by Good Faith Energy. For more information, check out goodfaitenergy.com. Make sure you subscribe, give us a review, and leave a 5-star rating. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. See you on the next episode of Thinking Green.